Hello and welcome to the 205th edition of the Illegal Motion College Football Podcast. In Nashville, Tennessee, I'm the professor, Matt Perkins. And a square in across the Harpeth River from me here in the Music City, it's our own offensive coordinator, the coach, Corey Burton.
Well, I hope I don't put the square in, but it's one of my favorite routes, actually.
No, but you do put the belly into the 23 belly.
Daggum right, I do.
Well, speaking of the running game and food, we can't get started without the third amigo in the second city. A man who is gorging himself on Big Ten basketball now. It's our intrepid blogger from Big Ten and Counting, Josh Cook.
Yeah, I mean, it's the season where you get some of your first impressions. I like to watch kind of the first couple of weeks of the basketball season, and then you can sort of get a snapshot of teams and then maybe fade away for a little bit while the holiday season comes. And then in the meat of the Big Ten basketball season, when it picks back up in the kind of the dog days there in January and February, it gets pretty exciting again.
Let's be honest. I don't pick up college basketball until after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty common. I like to get some first impressions,
but Georgia sucks at basketball, so that could have something to do with it.
Yeah, you guys haven't had a player since Dominique. So.
Don't you have a pretty Dwight Schrutian head coach now?
Yeah, former Big Ten guy, Tom Crean. He's a member of the Harbaugh family.
Well, and he was before that at Marquette, who just got absolutely slayed by the Badgers this weekend, 77-61 in the Kohl Center.
Georgia got a huge win. They're 10th in a row over Georgia Tech, so that was pretty good.
Okay. Well, that concludes the illegal defense portion of the Illegal Motion podcast. Speaking of defense, though, Josh, your Hawkeyes slowed down Minnesota just enough to end the perfect season for the Golden Goofs. You were in-house.
Golden Goofs.
First of all, how was it? How was your was it your girlfriend's first experience to Kinnick?
She had been to the stadium before in the off season just to see it. But this was her second ever college football game of her life. First one ever at Kinnick. Very weirdly, her maiden voyage was West Lafayette.
I was gonna say it was Purdue. Yeah.
Well, you want to start with seeing some of the worst that college football has to offer before.
Okay, so Josh, I assume your first college football game was an Iowa game, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Coach, what was your first college football game?
Ironically, a Georgia Tech game.
Do you remember how old you were?
No. I just remember the first one I actually remember was they were playing Florida State. A kid that played for my dad was starting at Tech, and obviously my dad graduated from Florida State, so naturally we went to that game. And it was like really cold and it started raining. I think I was in like 4th or 5th grade, maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere in that range.
Nice.
All right. Sorry, Josh. Go on. I don't know why I needed to interject there, but
no, that's fine. Yeah, I'm trying to think about my first game. My grandpa was a longtime ticket holder, had tickets really since he was an undergrad at Iowa, so like 60 years worth of tickets. So he had phenomenal seats based on seniority, and then also did quite well for himself. So also got to be a big booster. So he always got like a bank of like 6 or 7 tickets. And then my dad always got 2 tickets. So, it was ample seating for all of us. And I don't know how young I was when I went to my first game. I would guess maybe the 6, 7, 8 range. And then, kind of split with my brother going to games. And then by the time I was in late elementary school, I was going to every game. So that was kind of my trajectory. How about you, Matt? What was your first game? Dartmouth?
I asked the question
Syracuse?
without thinking about it.
maybe Syracuse? Probably gave up the
No,
carrier.
I believe
University of Buffalo.
no. Division
Army
3,
West Point.
Division 3, University of Rochester.
Ooh.
Yep.
Rochester versus
The Rochester Yellow Jackets.
Ironically, that stadium's also better than Ross-Ade Stadium.
Listen, historic downtown Rochester. I mean,
Rochester versus Montclair State.
Rochester is, it's a lovely place if you really like cloudy weather.
Ooh.
Actually, has the most cloudy days of.
Well, you know what they say about Rochester.
If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
No, I was gonna say Rochester. It's the Manchester of upstate New York.
Oh, I think that's doing short shrift to Manchester. That's really coming back these days. They turned all the old mills into these really fun new little artist venues. Sorry, I'm getting way off track with my New England.
And this is your tourism update.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking old school Manchester.
Manchester,
the
England.
The English.
I was thinking Manchester, New Hampshire.
No.
Well then.
Screw that. I was thinking Manchester, Tennessee, boy. Bonnaroo.
Well, either way, it's better than Rochester, Minnesota, because that state is home to the now no longer undefeated Golden Gophers, Josh. So this is a roundabout way of getting back to the fact that you were in the house with the lovely Kristen.
Yeah. Let me start with the positives. We won. Always fun to beat your rival. Always fun to knock off an undefeated team. Minnesota's spoiled some of our seasons, so that was fun.
Nice to get that pig back in your hands.
Well,
I mean, you didn't leave your hands, but you know what I mean. Get at the end of the game.
But I've got a little bit of a salty taste in my mouth, and I'm going to use the exact same analogy I used with my girlfriend, who is a theater person. That's what she studied in school. It's been in a lot of shows, and she didn't understand why I was a little just deflated after the game despite winning. And the analogy I used was, you rehearse for a play, week after week after week, all these rehearsals, and you keep messing up the same stuff and nothing improves. And so it's not a very good show because stuff keeps getting messed up over and over and over again. Opening night comes, you make the same mistakes as a theater company, but you get a standing ovation because the crowd was entertained. They had a fun night. But as an insider, as an expert, as someone who does it, that you made all the same mistakes and it wasn't a clean show. And that's where I am with this Iowa game. I know a lot of Iowa fans are sucking up the polished turd that Iowa rolled out there because we beat Minnesota. But they scored 3 touchdowns on the first 3 possessions because Ferentz opened the playbook up. Rest of their possessions, punt, field goal, punt, end of game, 69 yards in the second half, 3 points. That was a turd. They laid a turd out there. They got lucky that Minnesota had some just goofy stuff. Minnesota used some really ill-advised timeouts in the third and fourth quarter that then put them in a bind where they had to go for an onside kick with just under 3 minutes left. They missed a field goal. They had a turnover on downs when a field goal would have made it 20-16 in the third quarter. And if you play out the game, Iowa, all they added was another field goal. So it would have been 23-16. Would have been a 1-possession game, not a 2-possession game, when Minnesota scored their touchdown in the fourth quarter. So we got lucky that Minnesota made some very uncharacteristic, poor decisions in the game. The defense got shredded by Minnesota quarterback Tanner Morgan.
Not the former BYU great Tanner
Yeah.
Mangum.
25 of 36, 368. Nate Stanley, Nate the Great, as some fans call him. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. 14-23, 173. What did he do in the second half? Nothing. Goodson, the fun freshman, ran 13 times, 94 yards for Iowa. Got a little dinged up. They didn't take him out of the game. And they're like, whoa, the running game didn't work as well. Your backup had 6 carries. What's he doing? Get him out there. If the kid allegedly got a little dinged up, like the coaching staff said, why the hell is he playing? So just that was disappointing. Iowa, same mistakes that they've had every week, but it just looks better because the result was different. On top of that, Iowa rushed the field. And I took a picture of it because, like, I got caught up in the moment. But about 30 seconds after taking the picture, I was just like, we were the favored team. We've owned Minnesota since Hayden Fry got to Iowa. We haven't lost at home to this team in 20 years. It's more insulting for us to ruin their undefeated season and just walk it off and go, hey, that's what we expected. It looked like a dumb, like, Bush League thing to rush the field. And then the other thing that really pissed me off is in Minnesota's desperation, they're out of timeouts. Iowa gets a sack. The clock is running. Minnesota gets up there, runs a play. Minnesota got sacked again. And now the clock is like desperation panic, but they blew it dead because Tanner Morgan was laying down. And the Iowa fans started to boo. And it's like, okay, maybe he's faking an injury, but A, you don't know that. And B, as soon as the medical staff comes out, he has to sit out a play. I'm sorry, it's better percentage for Iowa to have the Minnesota starting quarterback on the sideline for 3rd and 21 than it is to have the kid that shredded your defense out there for 3rd and 21. I would gladly give Minnesota a little extra timeout doing that. That's a trade-off. That's a win-win. And I don't really remember Iowa fans booing injuries until like 3 or 4 years ago when Iowa did some hurry-up stuff and an opponent very, very clearly booed injuries. But, like, I remember going to a Michigan State game where anytime an Iowa player got nicked up, MSU fans were booing mercilessly. And one of the injuries that happened to a Hawkeye that game was a season-ending concussion. And it's like, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Why would, like, just why are we booing? It's so stupid. And I guess that kind of dovetails with something even just unrelated to this game that I saw. But Penn State fans sending death threats to their quarterback, just get out. Stop watching football. Stop being a fan. Like, become a human being. Like, find a hobby. Go to church. Like, do something other than telling a college kid that you're going to murder him because they lost a football game. Like, I don't know.
That's totally
Like,
sane and rational, right?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
listen,
like,
this is
what
the
are we
fan base
doing?
that tells the players to cut their hair because it doesn't look appropriate.
I mean, what are we doing? Like, big
And
picture
it's not just
stuff
Penn
as
State
a
fans.
society.
Not just Penn State fans. There are fans in there are fans in every single fan base that are like this.
No.
And it's embarrassing for every single fan base.
I saw Brian Ferretz's email publicly listed because he's a University of Iowa employee. I showed it to Dad. I was like, should I email him? Like, subject line, you're awful, and then subject of the and then body of the email, call better plays. And I just said it kind of like tongue in cheek. And even that, which was just meant to be funny, Dad was like, why? Doesn't impact your life. It's a Saturday. Like, and at the end of the day, yes, all three of us are diehard football fans, but it's 12 Saturdays out of our life. Like,
Yeah, like 15 if we're lucky.
yeah, the sun will come up tomorrow. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal.
At the end of the day, Georgia lost to South Carolina. I don't think nothing bad happened to me. I didn't get injured. I didn't die in a car wreck or anything like that. Georgia just got a L on the stat sheet. So it's whatever. I got over it.
Yeah.
after about 30 minutes of being disappointed.
Yeah. But to get back to Matt, talking about the Minnesota Iowa game, it was bittersweet. That's all I could say is Iowa is just, they don't have it this year. And it'll be interesting to see how they look here in a couple days against Illinois. And, if Nebraska has a bowl on the line, who knows what they'll look like in that game. But it's always deflating when you see a team with no progression whatsoever. And it's very, very clearly not a talent issue, because I've seen some Iowa players make incredible plays that, like, I haven't seen this level of talent really in a while. So I know it's squarely on the coaching staff, and that's always deflated as a fan.
Yeah, it's it's frustrating, and as a Wisconsin fan, I know I know that feeling quite well. Coach does too.
Yeah.
But Coach,
have you ever heard a more depressing recap of a game that Iowa won?
Well, I mean, Coach, Georgia won last weekend in pretty similar fashion over Auburn.
Yes, they did. It was kind of one of those things where they had, I think, was it 11 punts and like 9 3-and-outs. A lot of them coming in the second half. I mean, it was about as defensive a game as you could get. But Georgia up 21-0 in the fourth quarter. You think, okay, now they figured it out. Now they're about to drop the hammer. Then all of a sudden, you're thinking, oh my God, they're going to blow this thing.
Yeah. Was it more of a matter of them taking their foot off the gas, or the defense getting tired just being out there after so many 3-and-outs? Like, what was it?
Well, it was both. I mean, the defense was gassed, and the offense was just not getting first downs because partially they got conservative and wanted to eat clock. And, when you have behemoths in the middle like Auburn has with, with Derek Brown and, those, that front seven that they have, it just gets really challenging. And it just, receivers couldn't get separation. If the receivers were good and had any burst, some of these holding calls that the Auburn DBs were committing would have gotten called. They don't get called because Georgia's receivers just don't have enough credit to be able to get those calls. And so you're able to kind of toe that line of holding or not holding, or pass interfering or not interfering. They just had some bad luck things go, and Auburn made a good run there, and Georgia's defense was tired, and they couldn't get pressure on Nix. Nix was doing a good job at the end of the game of getting the ball out quickly, and they just too little too late, I guess. But Georgia's defense, again, they stood on their head the whole night long, all night long. It was a thing of beauty to watch, especially the youth movement at Georgia with all the young guys coming in and contributing and making plays. Trayvon Walker made the game-sealing sack on Bo Nix to ice the game. You had Nakobe Dean just flying around the field. He's a freshman linebacker. They're comparing him to fair or unfair. They're comparing him to Roquan Smith. Adam Anderson made some plays. Jermaine Johnson, the kid out of Last Chance U, making plays all over the field. Just Auburn not being able to run the football at all is kind of what did them in. But it was a good game up until like the fourth quarter, where Georgia was like trying to choke it away. But Georgia played outstanding all game long, at least on the defensive side of the ball. They did okay offensively in the first half, and they just kind of put the foot up the gas. That's my only gripe and complaint. But they're SEC East champs. They've won. They've only lost one division game in the last 3 years, which is pretty damn impressive, if you ask me. Georgia fans, I kind of we must be spoiled because people are complaining that we don't win by enough, and how we've won the East 3 years in a row, and I think we haven't lost but one game in the East in the last 3 seasons, and we're complaining about what? What are we complaining about? We don't. We're not winning games 80-7. I don't get it. That's my gripe, I guess. If I'm going to stay on the gripe train.
Well, you know what? It's those same fans who are complaining about that are the ones who are sending, sending threatening emails to, the court. To
I
Sean
don't get
Clifford.
it, man.
I don't get it either.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
I don't get that. I mean, why? I mean, if you're going to get that upset, then why are you even watching in the first place? If it upsets you that badly.
Yeah, because like is the inverse, is the joy so great that it offsets that? Because I can't imagine that it is, because to get that to that level of anger about a game, and yeah, we all get that it's a business and there are much larger like socio-political elements at play when talking about college football, but still at the end of the day, it's still like 22 guys on the field, throwing a ball around.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, it's okay to get into it. It's okay. I mean, you've watched me ebb and flow through the emotions, but Matt, the half hour after it, I'm done. The game, I put the game in my back pocket, and I'm done with it.
I mean, I think we're all relatively similar. Like when Wisconsin lost to Illinois this year, thank goodness I actually left at halftime of that game home to go tailgate for a Vanderbilt game. And thank God I did, because I was at a place with an open container in my hand, finding out the news that Wisconsin blew a very, very, very winnable game. But, I wasn't even upset about it this time. That's just because I'm finally, I guess matured now that I've hit 34.
But even in your most immature moment,
even I would get upset about Wisconsin losing, but it's not like it was like, oh my gosh, like I have to go out there and make someone suffer and pay because the Badgers lost. They lost a game. Like, come on, man.
Like my night is never ruined if Georgia loses. I always had fun no matter what, because I had good friends.
Of course.
And you just, that's just what you do.
And all of us, we're relatively lucky. Georgia, Iowa, Wisconsin are all, in the last 20 years, winning football programs. Like teams that you win on a year in and year out. You can expect to go to a bowl game every single year if you are a Hawkeye fan, if you are a Dog fan, if you are a Badger fan. You can expect to be in bowl games. The same cannot be said for even programs with much greater quote-unquote legacies. If you're a Nebraska fan, I mean, come on. Like, and that's
if I was a Nebraska fan, I'd send threats to myself.
Yeah, that's a much larger philosophical issue if you've decided to be a Cornhusker fan. But let's talk about two of their former Big 8 and then later Big 12 brethren, Oklahoma and Baylor. Baylor got out to a hot start, but the wheels came off in the second half. Oklahoma comes back behind the legs and arm of Jalen Hurts. He only had 411 total yards and 4 touchdowns. Another ho-hum for him. But again, like at this point, I don't know if these numbers are – I don't even know if it matters who's behind – obviously it matters who's behind center. Jalen Hurts is a great athlete. Kyler Murray was – I mean, people were mocking him for being drafted in the first round of the baseball draft because they were like, "Oh, he's not really that great of a baseball prospect." I mean, dude, this guy was was the best dual threat quarterback coming out of high school for over probably like a 5-season span. He was probably the best high school dual threat guy since like Terrell Pryor when he came out of high school. He was unbelievable, and he's just an amazing natural athlete. But I don't know if it's a product of Lincoln Riley's system or whatnot, but it just seems like every single game Oklahoma is able to get to just, even if they're not able to get off the ground at first, just grind teams down and just break those big plays later and later. CeeDee Lamb is just,
I mean, Lincoln Riley, what Lincoln Riley's good at, Matt, is getting the most out of what he's got. I mean, he does it in different ways. Like with Baker Mayfield, it was more of the RPO, pick teams apart, air raid, closer to the air raid background that he has. He got Kyler Murray. It was a combination of both because Kyler Murray could do just about everything. Now with Jalen Hurts, you're kind of closer to that Chip Kelly Oregon type scheme where everything is some sort of zone read, power read, counter read. You know, you have some simple concepts to throw, and really just it's either an option or just get the damn ball to CeeDee Lamb and let it go.
And it seems to be in the pass game. There doesn't seem to be an intermediate pass game for them. It's either like quick screens or bombs.
It's
like
play action. I mean, a lot of it's predicated on play action. Like teams are going to suck up to play the run because that's what they do. They do that well with Jalen Hurts, and teams are going to come up. Safeties are going to come up. They're going to bite, and CeeDee Lamb's going to double move somebody, and Jalen Hurts is more than capable of throwing one right over the top and hitting it. And that's what they did to kind of get back in it. They hit some big plays to get them re-energized. They did not take care of the football early on. I think they had, 4 turnovers in the first half?
Something like that. Yeah, they
stupid.
could not stop tripping over themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they beat themselves, and then they just finally woke up and played their brand of football. I mean, that's kind of why I think, you could say, yeah, it's a product of Lincoln Riley, but I mean, really kind of it is. It's not him force feeding a system onto these quarterbacks. It's him adapting what he does to these quarterbacks.
And maybe that's what's most impressive about it.
I mean, there's no coincidence. I mean, it's not a coincidence that he gets production out of 3 different types of quarterback. He's had his 3-year run at Oklahoma. He's had 3 completely different quarterbacks, and they're all putting up these ridiculous numbers. It's because he knows how to evaluate their strengths, and I mean what makes him great. And I hate that he's at Oklahoma because historically it's really difficult to root for Oklahoma. But Lincoln Riley is definitely somebody that is fun and exciting to watch, and he's made Oklahoma even more relevant than Bob Stoops did.
I know it's quite impressive. So, but I want to get elsewhere in the Big 12, Josh.
Well, I want to talk about Baylor though.
Okay. Then let's talk about Baylor. Talk about Matt Rule. Talk about
game day
being there,
Dallas
and
Cowboys?
Pat McAfee jumping into the river, and having having the absolute frauds as the pickers. I'm sorry. Get that couple out of my life.
I don't get what they did in the second half.
Who were the guest
at
pickers?
All?
It was that couple that had the HGTV show in Waco.
Them. Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
The guy looks
Chip
like his name should be. Yeah, that's them. I said he looks like a Chad. First of all, I mean he could pass for a Chip, but he really looks like a Chad.
Anyway,
and he's a huge Baylor bro. Sorry, go on, Josh.
So you're up 31-10, start of the second half. Give up a touchdown, cuts it to 31-17. Baylor then basically had 2 choices for their second half strategy. Rely on their season-long good defense and try and milk the clock, or keep your foot on the pedal and add to the score. And they did neither. This was their second half. First play of their second half, 32-yard run fumbled by their running back. He didn't touch the ball the rest of the game. Their leading rusher outside of their quarterback, 3 carries, 42 yards. 6 carries from non-quarterback. That's dumb. That's not winning football. Even the Pirate would be like, come on, you got to have at least 10 carries. What are you doing? There are other drives. 3 plays, 90 seconds taken off. It was a run by the quarterback, incomplete. Next series, 3 plays, 1 yard, 90 seconds. A pass play, and then a sack, and then a punt. Well done. And then next drive, a punt. 3 plays, 14 yards, 1:10 taken off. They got a pass interference to give them a first down. After that, loss of 1 on a run, incomplete. Well done. Last drive they had of the game, interception. 6 plays, 35 yards, a minute 16 taken off the clock. Here was the play selection there. Pass, sack, pass, 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 pass. What are you doing? Like, Coach, I'm not doing this to get a rise out of you. I haven't seen second half playing calling this asinine since a Super Bowl involving your Atlanta Falcons.
Too soon?
I'm being honest. I'm not trying to like mess with you. It's literally, I don't know what in the world Baylor thought they were going to do in the second half, but it was idiotic, and it cost
It's called they don't have enough experience in that situation, and they choked, kind of like Dan Quinn in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
never been there. Pacers have been there. Simple.
Yeah, but Matt, I think you wanted to go with the other game. Texas is back to losing to Iowa State,
and West Virginia beat Kansas State in the Little Apple.
Ooh. Well, here, the Texas game is really easy to dissect.
Okay, give it to me.
They got their butts whooped all game, scraped together a few points in the second half to take a brief lead before choking it. But when you pass it 40 times and run the ball with players other than your quarterback 14 times, your play balance is a little wonky. When you go up 354 passing yards, your defense isn't playing too hot. It's more of a credit that Texas was even in this game, and it's really because, Iowa State lost the turnover battle, and Texas had a few nice plays there in the fourth quarter. But correct team won, the better team won, and all is right in the universe when Texas can lose. And roll the Joe Tessitore clip.
Well, I guess I just want to talk about the Big Ten in general here for a quick second before we jump into this weekend's games, because, assuming Oklahoma comes out of the Big 12, who have they really beaten? Like, I look at their record for the year. Okay, they beat this Baylor team, but I still think that Baylor is smoke and mirrors. I mean, the most impressive win on their resume is that Baylor game, and after that, it's Iowa State.
It is Iowa State for sure.
I mean,
look,
I mean, we know they're going to win Bedlam. I'm like, every year I pick Oklahoma 6. I'm like, this is going to be the year. Like, I'm giving up. Josh, if I pick Oklahoma State next weekend, like, you need to come down to Nashville and, like, tie me up behind the Sooner schooner as they, like, roll off into the game and then tumble.
Well, I think
onto the field. Like,
I think your observation is spot on. I mean, and it's sort of been reflected in the CFP rankings. Oklahoma, they're 9-1. They're 9th in the country. They are the 9-1 teams behind them are Minnesota and Baylor. And then you have to go all the way down to some group of five teams.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're really, their only hope, I think, to make the playoffs is they need a 2-loss Pac-12 champion. They need something to go off the rails for either Oregon or Utah to get them out of the picture. Then they need
Ohio need a 2-loss Big Ten champ.
Yeah. Well, you figure if Oregon and Utah can get out, they'll go from 9 to 7. If Penn State loses, they'll be up to 6th. I don't see a path for Alabama. They're not going to win their division. Their
most impressive victory will be Auburn.
Yeah, they looked,
assuming they beat Auburn.
Yeah, they looked not so great once Tua went down. the SEC is not having as deep a year as it is used to having. Georgia's really good and LSU's really good, but
I still think Florida's pretty darn good.
But there gets in Alabama's issues. They don't play Georgia. They don't play Georgia. They don't play Florida. They lost their big matchup against LSU.
Alabama lost the only team they played that was any good.
Yeah. I really think Bama is done. I don't see how they get in the playoffs. The interesting X factor is, I'm sorry, Clemson, you're in the ACC. You haven't played a ranked opponent, and you're not going to play a ranked opponent.
Was Wake Forest ranked when they played or not?
Wake Forest
they
was
weren't.
out of the polls by that point.
Good gosh.
And I'm sorry if
Clemson is defending champs. I mean, that's the only thing they have going
and their
for them,
margin of
champs.
and their average margin of victory is absurd. I think we still get hung up on that North Carolina game. But if you look at everything besides that, I mean, they are just absolutely destroying teams.
Okay, so did those Boise State teams that went to the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, and they won. My point exactly. You just made the point for me.
No, my point is Boise State wasn't allowed to be at all in the process of the BCS.
And now the system is bigger, and there is enough room for a team that does that.
That gets into the stupidity, though. Clemson's getting a pass because they're in the ACC, and we think it's a Power 5 conference. It's a crap conference. The American has, let's count them, SMU, 25th, Cincy, 19, Memphis, 18. The team that emerges...
Navy was ranked last week. Temple's been ranked this year.
Yeah, the team that emerges from the ACC, from the American, is not going to sniff the college football playoffs.
That's true.
And Clemson, who's played squat, gets penciled in because they're defending champions. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that Virginia basketball was given an automatic spot in the Final Four because they won the tournament last year.
Oh, come on. You know that's a straw man argument, Josh. Those are apples and oranges.
No, but it makes for a fun rant.
I know. It is a good rant, and there is an argument to be made about that. But, okay, so then here's what's going to happen, though. They're going to beat South Carolina, and then they're going to beat it in Columbia. And then they're going to have the head-to-head over the team that Georgia beat. Or that lost. I mean, that beat Georgia.
But...
No, I understand. Like, Josh, I understand your argument. I'm not disagreeing with it. You know, I'm the biggest proponent of the American Conference outside of their freaking commissioner. But
let's put
it's the state of the matter is that, like, Clemson, because we've seen this team. I mean, they are just absolutely demolishing the competition. I know the competition is not great, but it's, you know, I mean, the last time. Their last 6 games, they put up 45, 45, 59, 59, 55, 52 points. I mean, come on. This isn't the Big 12.
Okay, but, you know, they are in a crap conference. They, you know, let's see. Oh, they scheduled Charlotte for one of their non-conference games. They scheduled Wofford. Who cares about Texas A&M? A&M sucks. No one thought A&M was going to be a factor.
A&M was ranked before they played.
They're ranked now.
Before we came on air, Matt, you said Jimbo Fisher was Mark Richt at Miami.
Yes,
it was burned out and doesn't
agree with that, but that still doesn't mean that they're not like they're still not like a pushover.
No, here's the thing, and this is why the playoffs is horrendous. Let me give you a scenario. LSU and Georgia play the SEC title game.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia loses.
Mm-hmm.
But Georgia has beaten, let's Let's run through the list.
Florida,
Florida.
Auburn.
Let's say they lose Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Let's say they lose that SEC title game on a last-second field goal. It's an
Like
epic.
38 to 37.
Yeah, it's an epic. Sorry.
We had this scenario last year.
Sorry, you're a 2-loss team. You're out. We're putting in Clemson because they went undefeated, but they didn't play anybody.
I'm cool with that.
That's ridiculous.
If we don't win, we don't deserve to be in. With 2 losses, we don't deserve to be in over an undefeated conference champion.
But
in the words of the immortal Edward, Josh, you play to win the game.
But the committee is saying that your conference matters and who you play matters, and that strength of schedule is involved. And they use that as their argument to bump down all these teams. They bump Baylor and Minnesota way low. They have the American Conference teams as low as possible, so they won't even sniff the playoffs ever. And they say,
you're dealing with a 2-loss gap here.
Fine. Well, then what
about different
about
precedent?
Okay, so let's say Georgia gets knocked out. You have LSU, you have Ohio State, you have Clemson. Then what are you going to do? A 1-loss Alabama team or a 1-loss Pac-12 champ?
I would say give the nod to the Pac-12 champ.
Okay, what if you have a 1-loss Oklahoma team?
That would be the decision.
Oklahoma will have played more ranked teams than Clemson.
Yeah. I would say if Oklahoma's got 1 loss and there's a scenario where they fit in, then they get the nod. But if Georgia beats LSU, then LSU gets that nod.
If you put Clemson's strength of schedule in a blind resume, no one would take them. Not a single soul would take them. And the committee can say, well, I think the committee likes to say that they do some of blind resume stuff. It's really hard to have a blind resume when the team that you don't have
doesn't matter. They're 12-0.
I know they're 11-0 right now. They're the only 11-0 team in the country. So when you're doing a blind test and you see 11-0 next to that, you immediately know who it is. It's stupid. I'm sorry. Clemson has played no one this year. I would love nothing more than for Clemson to get absolutely flat out embarrassed. I think that'd be the best thing for this playoffs, for Clemson to get in and LSU drop about 60 on them. Because I don't think Clemson's that good. I really don't.
I mean, you're probably right there, but I mean, they haven't. I don't know. It's weird because I mean, they've demolished teams. They've played who's on their schedule and they've demolished them. They haven't lost a game, so. No.
But I mean,
you can't leave them out. But
yeah,
it's a catch-22. You can't leave them out.
Yeah, I mean, what angers me, I feel like I'm pretty consistent on this. I wanted Boise State to be in the title hunt back in the BCS days because they were one of the only undefeated teams in the country. They deserve that crack. So if undefeated matters, great, put Clemson in. But what pisses me off is the committee says strength of schedule matters. Committee says your conference matters. But then when it comes to
the committee's going to say whatever they feel like they need to say.
Yeah, but when it comes to Clemson, they ignore it. You need to be consistent.
Or they ignore it when it comes to UCF a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's what angers me. I don't have a problem if it shakes out with Clemson getting in, but you would then need to have Central Florida in recently.
I agree.
But by that logic,
agree. If you want to have that a logical consistency across the committee, but then their argument would be that, well, the committee was comprised of a different group of whatever it is, 13, 16 people, then because the committee changes out a couple people every single year.
And then I would say, well, Clemson was defending.
They would let's face it, they would blame it on Condoleezza Rice.
I know, but I would, by that logic, I can make the argument, well, Clemson won the national title a year ago, but they're a different team this year. They have different personnel.
Exactly.
So they're not defending champion, just they are on paper, but it's not the exact same team.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Of course.
That's what angers me, is that it's if they were consistent about it. If they were consistent about, let's be honest, Clemson would be about 8th in the country this year. Or if they were consistent about it, Memphis would probably be about 10th right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're not consistent about it. And that's what angers me, and that's what makes this whole playoffs stupid. And it's why I have yet to watch a CFP game.
Well, with that,
my season ends with the Iowa Bowl game.
Let's talk about a game that I think you will be watching this weekend, Josh. Penn State at Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the game. It's the only marquee game this weekend. It is a.
Oh, you don't like the Western Carolina Bama game?
I mean, I'm about as excited for that as.
Hey, can I interject?
As I am for
quick?
Samford Auburn. What?
I'm watching this NC State game.
The catch that the Georgia Tech player just made off of the tip.
Yeah, what?
That was insane.
This game is the worst.
Why? Because Georgia Tech's winning, or because?
Yes, to all of it. It's really bad football.
Well, and the fact that NC State is Georgia Tech was up like 28-3, and which is apparently the cursed score. Yeah. But North Carolina State's coming back right now. Their entire team is third. Their entire team is third stringers. Like they have more dudes on IR. The college equivalent of IR, like out for the season, than anyone.
Yeah. I like that both of you got a Super Bowl dig on me. That was great.
That's what we're here for.
Well, to answer your question, Matt, both these teams have some unknowns about them. Penn State, when you run through it, they played Iowa, barely won.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about all the issues Iowa in that game. They lost to Minnesota. Ohio
beat
State.
Michigan. Haven't they beaten Michigan?
Yeah,
they played.
They
beat Michigan.
So that's their one game. In Ohio State, they have their one game, Wisconsin. So, for me, I'm just kind of looking at the trends, and last 2 weeks for Penn State, they haven't looked like a top 10 team. The last 2 weeks for Ohio State, very much have looked like a top 10 team, to say the least. The Horseshoe is a house of horrors. I think it's more likely for this game to be over at halftime than it is for Penn State to win.
Coach, how do you feel about that one?
I don't know. I think Penn State is still. I mean, I don't think much has changed about them. I think they had a bad game, but I certainly think they are very much not the team that. I think if they just come and play and they're focused and whatever, I think they'll get back on track and they'll be fine. I think they're gearing up for this stretch run here and trying to make some noise in the Big Ten. So, I mean, we'll just kind of see what they got, I guess. I mean,
I don't know. I'm
all
with
they
Josh.
can do.
I'm with Josh on this one. Penn State is not the team. I don't know. I don't know who there's something a little bit off about the Knits this year. Like they're very good, but they're not quite great. I think they have elements of their team that are great. I think their defensive line they only play 3 down linemen, but they are 3 outstanding linemen. And they rotate 8 guys in there, all of whom have the potential to be all conference guys. They are very, very strong up on the defensive front, but their offense seems to just come in fits and spurts. And without KJ Handler at 100%, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult for them to move the ball. He's so essential to them, not just as a receiver, but also in the return game. And he's still dinged up. I know he's supposed to play, but he is, he does everything for them. And, if he's not 100%, I mean, Ohio State is just, with Chase Young back after that ridiculous suspension, he is going, Sean Clifford is going to have one heck of a day trying to escape him.
Yeah, that's going to be. How do you block him? How do you game plan for that guy? I mean, that's
You do the opposite of what Wisconsin did, which was at points just put Jake Ferguson, who is the pass catching tight end, solo blocking him with a pass catching tight end. That guess how that turned out, Coach?
I mean,
the answer is strip sack. Like of course it was. Like he just toyed with him. It wasn't even funny.
Yeah, he did. It was bad. I felt bad for the guy. I mean,
no, I didn't. I felt a little bad for the guy. I was angry as all heck at the combination of Joe Rudolph and Paul Chris for even putting him in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
why isn't your Pro Football Focus All-American left tackle blocking him? And
exactly. Yeah, no, I know the feeling. That's like having Nick Chubb and Sony Michel and running a 160-pound wide receiver on a jet screen on a crucial 4th and 1 on a jet sweep. I mean,
just overthinking.
I get it.
Just overthinking it.
You just do what most teams do against great pass rushers, and especially teams like Wisconsin, where you get in your hippo formation, just maul the guy.
Yeah. Just
run
directly at him. Run directly at him. Use an extra tackle. Use an extra guard. Like put 7 of them.
Maul him.
I mean,
it's pretty simple. Just maul him. Wear him out, and then he won't be as good of a pass rusher.
Speaking of mauling, this North Carolina State team right now is starting to. Dave Doran is harkening back to his Wisconsin days right now. They're just trying to bludgeon Georgia Tech back into this game.
I mean that seems to be the key against Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech has no depth whatsoever.
For those of you listening, literally at any point after we record this will not be helpful for you because the game will be far over.
But judging from the look of the stands, not many people are watching this game, so they may be appreciative.
That is very true. Josh,
Jeff Collins in a medium pullover. What a tool.
Josh, any last thoughts here on Penn State Ohio State? Because I want to be honest with you, not a whole lot else to talk about for this coming weekend. Besides, I've got my thoughts on UCLA, USC. We can get to that in a minute, but
the only real SEC game is Georgia versus A&M.
Yeah,
talk about that.
And
any upset potential for the Hoosiers hosting Michigan?
I mean, I certainly think so. Certainly think so. The line on this one is like Michigan -10. Man, I would grab those. I would gobble the Hoosiers up. They gave Penn State all that they could handle last week. I'd feel a little bit better about them if their quarterback situation was a little more settled. But Indiana's frisky, man. In Memorial Stadium, Michigan with definitely in a it's a trap situation.
Well, I'll tell you the game I'm looking at, and we probably buried the lead just a pinch on this one.
Ooh.
But
I know what game you're talking about.
It's the second to last week of the season. We know what that means in SEC country. So you have a blow-off game. You play.
No, Josh. Instead, you know how the chant is SEC.
Yeah.
Second last week of the season, it's FCS.
Yeah. So. Arkansas.
It's we need a break.
So Arkansas, as you would expect, scheduled some poor schlub. I don't even know who they're playing. Let me bring it up.
I think they're in this little town in Louisiana called Baton Rouge.
They're playing
somehow. I guess they have to do a home and home with them for some reason.
I don't know. It's on ESPN. It's just abbreviated LSU.
I believe
is that Louisiana Southern University? That one.
Oh, it's Lafayette Southwest University.
Yeah. But Arkansas's had a few lumps this year. We thought that they could contend for the West. They are just somehow sitting at 0-6 in conference play. Just kind of a hard luck season. But they've got this LSU team and Missouri left. I think they're going to do it, you guys. I think they're going to finish strong for their interim coach. They're going to fight hard. They're going to end the year 4-8, 2-6. It really stands to reason that they would do that.
This would be one of the greatest upsets in the history of college football. Definitely in the history of the SEC.
It's only a 42.5-point money line.
I know. Well, I mean, those big ones last weekend, we saw Rutgers, Ohio State. Rutgers was a 52-point dog. They covered that one easily. They only lost by 35.
Well,
So, but, gentlemen, before we go, we do have to talk about the biggest upset of the entire weekend, last weekend. Do you know what do either of you guys know what I'm talking about?
it's probably an Ivy League game.
It is an Ivy League game.
Brown over
Princeton.
Princeton. There it is.
No.
The Brown Bears.
Cornell over Dartmouth in Hanover.
Ooh.
Dartmouth, undefeated Dartmouth, coming off of that huge win in Yankee Stadium over Princeton.
Hangover, baby.
They were hungover because they lost to flippin' Cornell, who was coming into the game at 1-4 in league play with their sole victory over those Brown Bears, who are dreadful as always, who just won their first league game this weekend over Columbia.
Matt, who's better, Cornell Rams in Iowa or the Cornell Brown Bears in Ithaca, New York?
Rams are D3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll also take the Rams. I'll take the Rams. I'll take Grinnell. I'll take College while I'm at it.
Well, you might not want to take Grinnell.
They don't even have a team anymore, do they?
They will next year, allegedly. We'll see. We'll see.
So, yeah, I just had to get that off my chest. Dartmouth, I'm so disappointed in you. I'm so disappointed in you. Not just because your undefeated season is over, but you lost on senior day for the most successful senior class you've probably ever had. It's just embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. You had the chance to go out to take Jared Gerbino out, who has been just an absolute stud for your program. And I just, it was so disappointing. Like, honestly, like, I know it's disappointing when I'm hearing about from my hometown, like, not childhood, but like high school friends about it. I know that it's that bad. So I'm very disappointed in you, Dartmouth. Very disappointed. You're better than that. Do better. Better, Big Green.
Cornell Rams in Mount Vernon, Iowa are 4-5 on the season.
The Cornell Big Red are 3-6 on the season.
There you go. Their big rival is the College Hawks. I will give you an update on them. They are 6-4.
Ooh.
So some Iowa D3 programs not doing too well. Last thing actually that I had, I totally forgot to say this. I actually discovered this a couple weeks ago. And I went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole. I was reading about like Kent State and Akron football and stuff. And I learned about the Ohio Athletic Conference. It was formed in 1902. It's a D3 conference. It's still around. But it has some nicknames, gentlemen, that I think
we like nicknames.
That I think you'll appreciate. I'm going to go from most generic to incredible. So, Otterbein University. I'm sorry, they're the Cardinals. Not very.
What? Wait, what school?
Otterbein. Otterbein. Otterbein.
Okay. Never heard of
Cardinals. Yeah. Not very good. Baldwin Wallace University. Yellow Jackets. We already have some of those around. Wilmington College, the Quakers, already have some of those around.
Penn's got a monopoly on the Quakers.
Yeah. Marietta College, the Pioneers.
We got some Pioneers. We got some Pioneers in the OVC.
Yeah, there's some Pioneers. So those are kind of the meh ones. But let's get a little bit out there. Let's get a little bit crazy. How about a timeless one? Capital University, the Crusaders. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Holy Cross been down that path before, but yeah.
But it's still a fun name. Still fun to say. And then, one thing that we love on this show are when colors are added to things. So how about John Carroll University, the Blue Streaks?
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
You always have me when you have a mid-range buddy cop film from the late 90s.
Matt, in honor of a a name that I think is incredible. It combines Middle Tennessee State's color with Raiders, but a little bit of a different color. University of Mount Union, purple Raiders.
Oh yeah.
How about that?
I can definitely get into some Purple Raiders.
Yeah.
They're like the D3 gods.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think of when you think of Ohio Northern University?
I think of
Snow.
I've never heard of it.
Snow's not a bad guess because they are the polar bears.
Ooh.
And then we have at Muskegum University, the Fighting Muskies.
Ooh. Oh wait, so muskie like the fish? Or is there a mascot of fish? If their mascot's a fish, then I can really get into that.
I will let you know what their mascot is in 1 second because I got to give the winner of this conference unique name award, Heidelberg University. They are the student princes.
What?
They're the student princes. What's confusing about that?
I mean, nothing apparently.
And yes, the Fighting Muskies is a musky fish.
Yes.
And the student princes are, well,
all I can think of is the Little Prince. When you say that, like the student prince is like Le Petit Prince.
No, it's the student princes. It originates from an opera.
Of course.
What about the Millikan University? They're the Big Blue.
Are they
mascot? They're Big Blue.
They in this conference?
No, they're in Illinois. So whatever D3 conference.
Well,
they might be. Hold on, let me look up their conference.
But I mean, they're not having the Fighting Muskies traveling to the student princes game.
I wonder if the the opponents of the Fighting Muskies just bring fishing rods to the game to taunt them.
I mean, that would be amazing. I feel like you'd have to.
So I do too, but it also might be deemed like a weapon that could be used in the stadium.
The Elmhurst Blue Jays.
Oh.
Meh. Plenty of Blue Jays around.
Illinois Wesleyan.
That feels like a bulldog. That feels like a bulldog to me.
They're Spartans, judged based on this logo.
Ooh, God, the D3 has some incredible nicknames.
No, they're the Titans.
For fun, I looked at Grinnell's conference. I don't have time to go through these and tell you order them, so I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. The Beloit College Buccaneers, Cornell College Rams, the Grinnell College Pioneers, the Illinois College Blue Boys and Lady Blues for the women's team, the Knox College Prairie Fire, the Lake Forest Foresters, Lawrence Vikings, Monmouth Fighting Scots, Ripon Redhawks, and St. Norbert Green Knights.
Carthage University, they missed the opportunity to be the Carthaginians.
Well, Josh,
I think they're the Athletics.
Josh, I did earlier mention that my first game was the University of Rochester Yellow Jackets game.
Nice.
The University of Rochester plays in the University Athletic Association.
That's a nice generic name.
Headquartered in Pittsford, New York, my hometown of 9 years.
Ooh.
Do you know what other schools are in the UAA?
Haven't a clue. Let's run.
One of them is a former Big Ten member.
Northwestern University.
It should be, but no, it's the University of Chicago Maroons.
Ooh, the Morons.
Yes. We also have a school that made my short list of colleges that I wanted to attend, Washington University in St. Louis.
Oh.
They are the Bears.
Also, they're in the same conference with Millikan.
Which the other schools, Josh, you will appreciate this. We've got some generic ones: the Emory Eagles in Atlanta, the Case Western Reserve Spartans. But Josh, you have three to. I have a top three to pick. You have to pick between.
Okay,
Coach, I need both you guys to weigh in on this. Number one,
You
from
got me.
Waltham, Massachusetts, the Brandeis University Judges.
Ooh,
Oh,
I like that.
From
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Carnegie Mellon Tartans.
Isn't it like a
I think they
Scottish
still.
article of clothing?
Yep, as far
I think they still run the wing T.
Their mascot seems to be their mascot in fact is a Scotty dog. So
Okay.
yes, and then the third one, the New York University Violets.
Ooh. I think I'm going to go Judges, Violets, Tartans.
Okay, Coach.
Because Judges is very unique.
Yeah,
Violets,
Judges-
Violets is a good
For
color,
sure.
but there's other teams with colors. And Tartans, I'm sorry, it's just way too close to tartar sauce.
Okay.
And once we have gotten into condiment talk, it's time to wrap up this edition of Illegal Motions.
You didn't let Coach do his rankings.
It doesn't matter, does it?
It's-
We're in dipping sauces.
We're gonna edit this. This is actually gonna lead the top of our program.
Hell yeah. Tartar sauce.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna talk about tartar sauce, and then we're gonna do the basketball wrap.
Okay,
up.
quickly then, Coach. If each of your 5 fingers had to, if you could only have 5 condiments for the rest of your life, but you could have them come out of your fingers, you get one coming out of each finger. What are the 5 condiments you would have for the rest of your life?
See, now this is a real podcast now.
I
So
think I got
got
this idea from listening to another podcast.
Oh.
So
nice. So I got ranch dressing,
okay,
Oof.
barbecue sauce,
okay.
Yeah.
honey mustard,
Mhm.
A1 steak sauce.
Barbecue and A1, interesting.
Yeah, I would get like the really sweet barbecue sauce, and then have like the A1 is kind of like a.
Okay, one more.
Then and then shit, like all my favorite condiments are barbecue sauce. I guess you have to have ketchup.
Okay, you got ketchup. All right, Josh, how about you?
Okay, I love mayonnaise, so that's gonna
Okay.
be for sure in
Mhm.
there. I like to mix ketchup and mayonnaise together for fries, so I think I can't have one without the other.
Okay,
I like to put mustard on some good deli sandwiches.
what kind of mustard?
I am
Grey Poupon.
no, I'm a very specific person. I absolutely adore Planchman's yellow mustard.
Okay,
That's my
fine.
go-to.
Okay.
This one, it's not a traditional condiment, but I cannot tell you the amount of times I'm having like a Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
And I didn't realize that I'm out of sour cream.
Oh God.
I would have sour cream on the ready. I put it in chili. I put it on tacos. I put it on a taco salad.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Instead of A1, I'm gonna have some salsa.
Ooh, okay.
That's a good one. That's a good one. My last condiment.
Love salsa.
This is a tricky one. Salsa's a little bit disappointing that I didn't think of salsa. I was thinking about guacamole or barbecue sauce, and I think I put.
Hey, Matt.
I think I
want some guac.
I think I put guac on more stuff than barbecue sauce.
I want some guac.
Real quick, before you do your 5, Matt, I forgot to mention adopted team update. We did it earlier this week in Action. Eastern Michigan smoked Northern Illinois to get to 6 wins. They have Kent State next. Kent State's 4-6, 3-3.
They see me bowling.
Yeah. If they go 7-5, you have to feel pretty good about making a bowl.
Yeah, you do. All right. Coach, Georgia State.
your
Georgia State. Your Georgia State is top of the squad. I think lost to Appalachian State last week.
Well, they lost their
Big.
quarterback for the season, I believe. Tore his ACL, I think.
Oh, that's a rough one. Yeah. East Carolina 0-6 in conference, 3-7 on the season. It is just it's not been pretty for them recently. But in fact, they've lost 5 in a row. But do you know what is pretty? The 5 condiments coming out of my left hand, not my right.
Ooh.
Out of my left hand. First of all, Josh, I'm mad you said it before I did. Sour cream for me, number 1 with a bullet.
Ooh, yeah.
Love me some sour cream.
Barbecue,
Number 2,
barbecue.
Josh, you have a specific mustard. I have a very specific mustard as well. Golden's brown mustard.
Ooh.
Don't leave home without it. Number 3, Thousand Island dressing.
Yeah, interesting. I like Thousand Island on taco salads, but not much else.
Oh, I'll put Thousand Island on damn near anything.
And for our astute listeners, yes, I do put sour cream and Thousand Island on my taco salads.
Oh. Number 4, garlic
I'll
aioli.
go salsa and ranch on that.
Garlic what?
Garlic aioli.
Oh.
Garlic
fancy
aioli.
pants.
It's a mustard. Not a mustard. It's a mayonnaise. It's extraordinary versatile. Number 5. This is really tough. I kind of, part of me wants to get like an Alabama white barbecue sauce because I can put that on a lot of things. But I think I'm actually gonna go with Cholula hot sauce.
Okay.
I don't think I can live because I have to have it on my eggs, and I eat a lot of eggs. So I got sour cream, I got Cholula, I got Thousand Island, I got garlic aioli, and I got Golden's brown mustard.
Okay.
An honorable mention for me is Frank's Buffalo.
Ooh,
All
I would
right.
say an honorable mention for me is, you ever had that just horrible moment where you're sitting down about to eat your fish and chips, and there's either
You don't have hot sauce?
No, I was gonna say
You
there's
don't have no vinegar?
vinegar.
No.
Vinegar.
Yeah, but vinegar is not versatile enough, and I'm not eating enough fish and chips to justify it.
You got to change your fish and chips intake then. You know who is good fish and chips? Whatever college was the Fighting Muskies.
Muskegon?
Pearl Cone?
Yes.
Pearl Cone has
And
really good
we
fish
have
and chips.
made it full circle here on the 205th edition of the Illegal Motion College Football Podcast. So, on behalf of our own offensive coordinator, the coach, Corey Burton, here in Nashville, Tennessee, and our intrepid blogger from Big Ten and Counting, Josh Cook, up there in Chicago, Illinois, this is the professor in the Music City saying so long and see you next time on the Illegal Motion College Football Podcast.
Yeah, baby.
Thanks for listening to the Illegal Motion College Football Podcast. To get in touch with the show, email us at illegalmotionpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at illegal_motion and check out our Facebook page.